an exciting session today, so let's dive right on in. Do you know what's fascinating? Almost every business I talk to is diving into AI. There's just this incredible buzz all around it. But here's the reality check. While 90% of organizations are experimenting with GenAI, only 41% of these projects actually make it into production, according to analysts like Gartner. Analysts also suggest that 40% of agentic AI projects are likely going to be canceled by 2027. And so today, organizations are really wrestling with the challenge of moving from successful proof of concepts or POCs to enterprise-wide deployments. It requires navigating technical, organizational, cultural, and operational challenges that weren't immediately apparent during the initial experiments. But the good news is that the customers that we are working with in our Generative AI Innovation Center, they are beating those odds. 65% of the Innovation Center customers this year that we've worked with have moved from POC to production. We are well above those success rates because we've learned that guided implementations, they need the following. They need you to be able to foster a culture of innovation. You want the right subject matter expertise, well-defined business use cases. And the implementation strategies, they have to include both organizational change management and a technology stack that can actually enable all of this. In order to support delivering value to our customers, our mission is rooted in relentless innovation. We have a global cross-functional team of AI and industry specialists that are applying decades of Amazon AI leadership to solve the most complex challenges with our customers. We orient on the notion of what's possible. One of our key tenets in our organization is that speed matters. And speed, well, it's a choice. We anchor on delivering deployment-ready solutions in as little as 45 days, a concept that we've coined live in 45. And that starts with real customer needs and maintaining a production-first mindset that blends cutting-edge science with real practical applications. You see, the Innovation Center, it's been instrumental in helping enterprises from financial services to healthcare, some of the heaviest regulated industries, to lead the way in rapidly developing AI-powered capabilities. Let me just share a few examples with you. Using Amazon Q Business, we supported a global tech manufacturer in revolutionizing their operations. By implementing intelligent assistance across shop floor and procurement systems, they achieved $350 million in annual savings and gave employees 30% of their time back. That's Jabil. They're here today. In addition, a healthcare technology platform that we worked with, they leveraged Q Developer and Bedrock to automate their development process. The system now generates 1/3 of all new code and runs over 12,000 autonomous security scans and has reduced their release reviews from hours down to minutes. These aren't pilot programs, everyone. They're production-ready systems that are creating real impact for you today. Let me just share 4 of the key pillars that we tend to follow to provide a very structured approach to help companies like yours jumpstart their AI innovation. At AWS, we've developed this approach to help organizations navigate the challenges of moving their GenAI innovations from concept and experiments to delivering value. We're going to look at these 4 pillars of innovation success, starting with laying the foundation. Okay, first up, the first thing that we always encourage in framing how you want to provide customer and business value is, what does success look like in delivering outcomes for your customers, your users, or your partners? Unlocking business value is critical, everyone. And the main question that we ask, what are we actually looking to solve? In our experience, the heart of GenAI acceleration, it means getting the foundation right. Building AI solutions is like constructing a house. You need a solid foundation that is built for scale. And once you've established the right business outcome and use case, your next objective is focusing on the core, and that's your data foundation. When organizations are building their GenAI applications unique to their business needs, data, everyone, is your differentiator. See, these GenAI models, they rely on high quality, relevant data and across many different businesses. Most enterprises today are seeing their data expand exponentially. Data is powering all of today's foundation models, and it's important to implement robust data governance, security, compliance, and trust right from the start, not as a bolt-on. Our customers that move GenAI applications into production, they have a clear vision. They have metrics that are aligned with the business outcomes, and they actually use their integrated data approach to align the organization in order to move fast. Let's take a quick look. One of the leading automotive manufacturers that we collaborate with is revolutionizing this industry. Their connected vehicle platform, well, that platform processes 14.3 billion requests daily. They've developed an AI assistant that lets the business teams get instant insights, no technical expertise needed. A major mortgage lender, they've been transforming, and they're equally impressive. They went from taking 4 to 8 weeks to integrate new data sources to being able to do this in just under 2 hours. That's incredible. They're now making over 3.7 billion AI-powered decisions annually. And they've also launched the industry's first AI-powered loan knowledge database. Just incredible. These breakthrough successes, they all share a common thread. They didn't happen by accident. And while technology is powerful, it is intentional leadership that turns AI potential into business reality. The next pillar that we see in our innovation success is being able to lead with intention. Where do you, as leaders, play a role? I believe that we play a role in not only focusing on the projects, but also organizing the entire organization to support the initiative, including having deep partnerships with your chief HR officers. Because remember, the journey to delivering production value, it means bringing your entire workforce along on the journey. So some of the ways that you can make sure that you're being intentional is a mechanism that we've leveraged in our innovation center called the 5 V's. Prioritizing value. The boards like this too. Target those high impact opportunities that align with your organization's biggest priorities. Use case definition is required here. Next, visualize success. Have a definition of what success looks like. Be specific about the outcomes that you're aiming to impact, whether it's reducing call handle time, improving developer productivity, speeding up research cycles. Next up is validate. You want to test your ideas early against real-world requirements and constraints. Make sure that your data, your processes, and your people are actually ready before you then move on to scale. Next up is verify. Create a very clear, scalable path to production, one that actually delivers sustainable results, not just a great demo, although I do love a good demo. This is where I see a lot of organizations get stuck. And finally, it is critical that you venture. Secure the resources, your sponsorship, and the cross-functional support that you'll need to turn these pilots into lasting programs. While these can be helpful, make sure that you don't succumb to what we also see, and that's analysis paralysis. It is so important at some point to just get started. You do not need everything to be perfect before you begin. Leading in this GenAI era, it requires active, meaningful engagement. The most successful leaders that I work with, they are rolling up their sleeves, diving deep into pilots, and helping drive transformation across the organization. This is no longer just implementing AI anymore. It's fundamentally reimagining how business gets done. These outcomes, they require a lot more top-down ownership and bottoms-up adoption than ever before. You here in this audience, you own positioning your organization to move faster with clarity and more confidence. And so now that we've talked about the active role that engaged leadership can achieve, let's talk about what often stands in the way of you actually being able to drive AI value and how to actually overcome it. We as leaders play an integral role in identifying and removing the barriers that stand between vision, implementation for our teams. As I mentioned before, the path from POCs to production, it is rarely a straight line. And regardless of your role here at the Executive Summit, you ultimately need to embrace being chief innovation officers, working to identify those blockers, removing the blockers yourself, and then being able to enable the teams to then overcome all the blockers. Picture your organization losing 2 months every single year. That's exactly what we see happening. 400 hours lost to context switching, dependencies on matrix teams, knowledge that's trapped in silos, data going cold in days, insights that are buried and forgotten. And yes, you've heard a lot, AI agents are part of the answer, but first, you really want to be able to tackle things like incompatible data, the security barriers, and likely a whole lot more. And just as the cloud has transformed business, AI integration will redefine how organizations think and work. By focusing on these 5 V's, you can leave here and enable your teams to build from enterprise scale and avoid some of the roadblocks that we've seen. Implementing modular architectures. Think of this as giving your builders a set of pre-built AI building blocks that reduces duplication, accelerates delivery, and ensures consistency across use cases. Second is establishing a reusable components library. This is so key. This is your internal toolkit where you define the models, the workflows, the integration patterns, all in one place. When teams can actually tap into these shared assets, every project gets smarter and faster because the learning components are compounding across the entire organization. Third up, standardize your security, compliance, and responsible AI mechanisms. I often hear security is not the blocker to innovation. It's the catalyst for innovation. When you embed governance and compliance into the development lifecycle early, you enable your teams to move fast. Harness an agentic, you've heard a lot about agentic, harness an agentic approach to development and accelerate value by using some of the proven blueprints to build and scale faster. And finally, define clear scaling metrics. We want you using measures such as adoption rates, productivity increases, resolution rate, and cost saved or value generated to determine when a solution is ready to scale beyond pilot to production phase. So I'm excited for you to hear how these principles work in practice and real-world examples that are able to come to life. One of the organizations that I've had the pleasure of working with for some time is the National Football League. When they talk about going from POC to production, it means scaling technology use cases across their league office, all 32 clubs, a huge partner ecosystem, and hundreds of millions of fans around the world. It's a monumental effort. And yet, for as different as the NFL's business is to many of yours, they face the same challenges getting into production that you do. So I'm honored here to tell their story. Please welcome my colleague and friend, Chief Information Officer for the NFL, Gary Brantley.
Thank you, Francesca, and hello, everyone. I'm extremely excited to be here at Executive Summit, but I'm also more excited to talk about the amazing work that we've been doing with AWS. Now, many of you may know or you may not know, the NFL is America's largest sports organization. And it's not just popular in the US, but it's also popular internationally. And let me tell you, I saw that firsthand being in Madrid a few weeks ago. Now, last year, NFL games and events made up 71 of the top 100 broadcasts. And if you factor in Super Bowl 59, it was the most watched program ever, with 191 million views in the US alone. But like all businesses, our business is rapidly changing, and our fans are helping us change. Streaming media is changing how people watch NFL content. More content than ever before is available on third-party streaming apps, and of course our own app, which is NFL Plus. But fans are also engaged with us on social media in short bursts. We have hundreds of millions of fans across all of our social platforms. With a fragmented media landscape, emerging platforms, and also evolving consumer habits, it posed a challenge for the NFL. And we had to ask ourselves, how can we not only maintain a direct relationship with fans, but how do we evolve them and how do we strengthen them? Now, there are a lot of ways that the NFL uses technology to engage fans, but we're not here to talk about that today in this session. We are specifically here to talk about how to scale GenAI efforts to production. So I'm going to concentrate on that specifically. Now, this first starts with creating a strong data foundation, and that's something that you can build on top of. The NFL has been around for more than 100 years. So we have a lot of data that we can use in really powerful ways. And one source of that data is the game itself. And the way we track the game's data is through next-gen stats. In 2015, over a decade ago, the NFL introduced next-gen stats on live television broadcasts, and this was powered by AWS Cloud using advanced machine learning models. For the first time ever, fans saw data transform storytelling with simple measurements. Those simple measurements like player speed, player separation, distance traveled, but also it was providing a new terminology for understanding how our game operates. Now, over the last decade, those early metrics have evolved into advanced machine learning models that capture the true complexity of football. And so we average, as a league with AWS, over 3 to 4 new machine learning models per season, with some of the more complex models taking years to perfect. Now, next-gen stats populates more than 200 stats on every play within every NFL season. That's 8 million stats per season. We've also got more than 10 terabytes of tracking data alone. That's a lot of data. So what started out as a way to track player stats and bringing compelling stories to life has now evolved into something that's a lot more powerful within our data platform. We are using this data around combine analysis, schedule creation, areas like draft, player health and safety, and general safety initiatives. But most importantly, and my favorite, we're using it around efforts like fantasy football. Now, once you've got your data foundation in place, then you know you have something of real value that you can build on top of it. And so how did we do that? We started to work backwards from the business need, which was extremely important. And one of the ways we did that was through NFL Pro, which is a component of our NFL Plus premium subscription offering that puts fans right in the coach's seat. This gives you advanced stats and also an analytics platform, and in some cases, access to coaches' film. Now, you're all busy leaders in your own right. And I'm sure you don't spend all day, some of you may, building your fantasy football team. But what I'm about to say, if you own a fantasy football team, you'll absolutely be able to relate to this. It takes a lot of time and effort for you to put your teams together, for you to see what players you want to use, to sift through the data to see the latest trends and who's doing well during the season and who's not doing well. And so we had to ask ourselves, how can we help fans using NFL Pro have better insights and a better experience? One of the ways in which we did that was to build an AI-powered fantasy football assistant. This assistant allows fans to ask questions about players, performance, team strategies, and also gives fantasy football recommendations while accessing proprietary NFL data in our next-gen SaaS platform. We needed to define our approach, but we were running out of time. The season was about to start and the deadline was close. We needed to be able to go from prototype to production in an 8-week time period, while still satisfying security, privacy, reliability requirements, a production app at NFL scale demands. And that's a pretty tall order. One of the ways we were able to achieve speed is through the NFL Technology Hub. Now, this is a dedicated think tank. It's an incubation engine that brings all 32 teams together to pilot ideas that are aligned with the league's strategic goals. In this case of the AI Fantasy Assistant, we worked closely with AWS Professional Services and used an agentic approach to dramatically accelerate that development. So instead of starting from scratch, we were able to use reusable grade production components so that we didn't have to start from the beginning. And this was an accelerator to us getting the job done. Now, one important factor that I did not talk about that we all deal with in here is leadership buy-in. The NFL generative AI effort has to go through what we call within the NFL the AI Council, whether that's something the league is leading or our clubs are interested in. The AI Council is made up of several executives across multiple departments with various business stakeholders that are involved. And what are they tasked to do? They are not tasked to slow down, but this council was built to accelerate. Examine applications of GenAI, evaluate new AI technologies, and determine the appropriate governance. Now, the goal from that was to strike a balance between enablement and governance. The council also regularly meets with industry experts, such as AWS, to really understand the landscape and what's coming down the pike, both in terms of capabilities and also regulations. Now, for the AI Fantasy Assistant, there were a number of checkpoints along the way. We needed to manage risk, and we needed to manage security. And we wanted to make sure we had alignment across all leaders within our organization in order to do that. Now, we are seeing really successful results from this AI assistant, and we're very happy with them. Number one, NFL Pro subscribers are embracing this at a record pace. In our first week, We had thousands of interactions, and in the months ahead, we've had tens of thousands of interactions. It's also driving greater engagement with NFL Pro. And most importantly, week over week, our retention rate is up for users by 14%. So before I leave, let me leave you with some winning strategies. Let me close today with a few lessons we've learned along the way. First, you have to grind through training camp before you play under the lights. I think secondly, and most importantly, you need to build a championship roster. And whether that's the Innovation Hub or whether that's the Agentic Professional Services team like Francesca's, you need those teams in that roster to be able to scale to production quickly, to be able to experiment and also validate and generate those great ideas. Last but not least, you need to sharpen your playbook. Leverage the latest development AI practices. Launching an AI assistant to production in 8 weeks a year ago would have been unheard of. We would have never been able to do that. And so as we move forward, I tell you and give you some advice as it relates to the production. I will tell you to make sure you are looking to move fast, make sure you are collaborative, and I hope you have the same success in your journey that we've had. Now, before I leave the stage, I want to bring back my counterpart and my teammate, Francessca Vasquez.
What do you think? Super Bowl ready, Gary? What do you all think? Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, Gary. There are some great lessons in there for all of us. And so quickly, not getting to production isn't the finish line, okay? It is the starting point. The hardest part comes after deployment, keeping systems optimized, secure, resilient, and adopted. The organizations that succeed are those that treat production as a living process, one built on continuous monitoring, feedback, refinement, and investment. The NFL is so successful with their GenAI initiative because they have leveraged the 5 V's framework with agility and speed. I admire the NFL's success. They created momentum by establishing that global GenAI center of expertise. Think of that as their AI command center. They had executive sponsorship. This gave them a proven playbook, ready-to-use tools, clear methodologies, and ways that we were going to measure success together. They had true leadership conviction. Their executives understood that GenAI isn't just another IT project, it's a fundamental shift. And they approached it with curiosity and a willingness to disrupt the status quo. Now, here's the key. They know that success requires both top-down vision, but also, remember, bottom-up adoption. While leadership set the direction in their use case, the NFL actually empowered their people that were on the ground. They created a huge network of AI champions, invested in training, partnered with us, and maintained open communication channels. They incentivized their teams to actually then use these new tools and then have others help them adopt even more. And the result, a sustainable transformation where GenAI solutions, they stay relevant and they keep continuing to deliver real business value. It's a perfect core capability and an example of how an organization can turn AI from a buzzword into a prime play that drives their future success. Before we wrap up today, I want to leave all of you here in the Executive Summit with the challenge. I want everybody to take out your phones. That's right, pull out your phones, your devices. We're going to do something that takes just 30 seconds, but could transform your business over the next year. I want each of you to write down one high-impact AI opportunity for your organization. And here is my commitment, live in front of everyone, to you. partner with us, and we'll take that opportunity from concept to production in 45 days. 1 year from now, when we're back, I want you to email me to share your success story. Because that single opportunity that you wrote down or you're writing down right now, that's where your AI transformation begins. With that, I want to thank Gary Brantley and the NFL and to all of you for joining us. Please join my team for a networking roundtable later this afternoon here in the Executive Summit Lounge. We'd love to meet you and address any questions that you might have and take you up on that challenge and to chat about how we can do more together. Executive Summit team, thank you so much. Take care.